All right, hola guys, que paso? How's everyone doing? This is Hala Pablo. Thank you for tuning in. Let's do a Bitcoin update. Let's kind of pick up where we left off yesterday with this chart that that we have here. Now this is a daily. This is Bitcoin on a daily, so it's a macro chart. And I have some of the Wyckoff features annotated on it, like the buying climax, the automatic rally, secondary test, sign of weakness in B, going all the way up to the upthrust, and I have the Elliott wave from the secondary test to the upthrust enumerated. So here's the 1, the 2, the 3, the 4, and the 5. The 5, of course, reaching all the way down to the low, to the sign of weakness, and then the 5 impulse up. The 1, the 2, the 3, the 4, which was the consolidation period or the corrective triangle that we had, that long period of trending before the Trump pump, and then culminating in the upthrust, which is of course the 5. Okay, and so these are exactly 4 years apart. So you got the 4-year cycle here, and what I'm trying to do is correlate the price action from the tops and the bottoms. Now, we know like this diamond, this double horn up here, this like 2-horn top that we just had, that was like with the diamond configuration. We've been modeling this one off of 2021's top, the second top of the cycle, which was also a double horn, and it was a secondary. It counted as a secondary test if we were to make this whole thing one Wyckoff schematic. It falls in line very, very well. Of course, the secondary test comes up, mitigates the buying climax, and then we establish our trading range resistance, which goes all the way through, spans through, and then up to this 4 wave here. And so if you recall yesterday, I mentioned that this macro trading range zone, this macro resistance zone up here, has never been sufficiently tested, has never been tested from the top down. Okay, and normally what you see in price action is once the price marks up, in this case we had like a kind of like a head and shoulders, and it tops out, then we come back down. We see this in all the tops here. In this case we had a 4, what I call a 4 crown. This was the A cycle for each. You see there was a 4 crown also of what we had. Now I know this could get a little confusing because I labeled this whole area yesterday as a bull flag. This 4, which is really a 4 correction in a macro Elliott 1 through 5. But the more I got to look at it, the more it's looking more and more like it was sort of like a truncated head and shoulders, imitating the way subcycle B of 2021 mimicked the top we just had in 2025, right, this year. And they're both, like I said, double horns coming down. They both broke the same area of the anchored VWAP. You can go back to my old videos. That's how we stayed safe these past 3 months, because we modeled the price trajectories off of what we found here in the first secondary test of subcycle B of 2021. And so we know that the price more or less replicated in the tops that we just had. So now we go back and we look at the subcycle A. In subcycle A, this is a clear 4 crown. You know, we could do the same Elliott wave. I just didn't want to count out the Elliott wave because it would be too cluttered. But there's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It comes all the way up. The same thing, right? Here's the preliminary supply, and you have the whole Wyckoff feature here, and then you have the ABC coming down. And so I started looking here, and I was like, this also looks like it could have been a top as well. And and the more I looked at it, and the more I began to identify similar features in subcycle A, in the subcycle A's. For example, we had this here, this reaccumulation here, that would correspond to this area here. Then we had, you see a 4 crown here, there's a 4 crown here. The difference is we had this this long area of redistribution, this markdown from this LPSY that came down here to form the right hand shoulder. So you got this head and shoulders. Here's the markdown, the corresponding markdown. It was much more truncated, as you can see, but you know the waves are always going to be different. They're not going to play out cookie cutter, obviously. But I did identify the 4 crown in this one. And then also we had a 3 horn bottom, 1, 2, 3. You see those? See these 3 lower wicks? We had a sort of like a prominent 3 horn bottom here as well, which came into the throw over section of the macro support. Same as here. It's in the throw over section of the macro support. I went and drew this curve underneath to so it stands out a little bit. And then we had the which proved to be an accumulation zone. And then we had another smaller head and shoulder formation, or another reaccumulation, and that would have started here. And I circled the first reaccumulation zone as it started putting legs up to where it would eventually top out at the subcycle B top, creating a whole new all-time high to mitigate the top. And we see the same thing here. We see this area, this reaccumulation area. Most interesting is if you anchor the VWAP, here you see I put source. The source is in the same area. The VWAP is anchored to the all-time high in subcycle A on both cycles in 2021 and 2020. This would be 2024, 2025. In such, you see the ice coming down and going right underneath this first reaccumulation zone from the bottom right shoulder of the first subcycle. See? I know it's really bunched up here, but you could see it. And from where this would be the 4 wave, and this would be the 4 wave as well, if we were to, like, you know, count this out. If we were to enumerate this cycle with the Elliott wave principle. But like I said, I don't want to do that because it'll just make everything too cluttered. But you see the anchored VWAP going right underneath this reaccumulation zone, the same as it does here, right underneath, and then coming back up to meet the redistribution, coming back down to form, as it were, the right-hand shoulder of subcycle B. Here it is here. And of course, we know that here it fell through the ice. That's why I circled it in blue. This is the big structure break, and this is significant in subcycle B because the price action falls through the ice that was anchored, as you remember, to the all-time high in subcycle A. We could very much be on our way to a bear market, a proper bear market. And we see this as this reaccumulation, or thought it was a reaccumulation, but then it couldn't make it couldn't come back up into the macro trend support. It became resistance. It flipped the resistance. It flipped the support to resistance where the 2 is, and it bounced off it, and it wasn't able to come back up and establish support above the ice. Then we could see a new all-time high, a new effort of bull power. Instead, it got rejected and it came down, and that was curtains here. So now look over to where we are today. We see, as we saw here, the anchored VWAP going under the first reaccumulation zone of this new this new cycle, and topping out with the double horn. Tops out with the double horn. Incidentally, both about the same 580% from the bottom to the top of cycle A of 2021 and cycle B. Cumulatively, 580%, and then here 590%. So we've gone about the same from their respective bottoms of these dual cycles. But here we see the anchored VWAP coming back up as it did 4 years ago to meet the price as it comes down off this top in these series of redistributions. And I imagine it's going to meet with the ice, and a battle is going to ensue. Now, whether this happens on top of the MAC trend support, it looks like it will for this one, although we are getting a little micro rallies in here, but that's to be expected. I do think that eventually it's going to have to contend. These two forces are going to meet, and the winner is going to determine the macro bear or bull season. We're either going to have a continuation, and this is just like a technical correction, and we bounce off this macro support line and form a whole new all-time high, or it goes under the ice like it did 4 years ago. And in that case, there's going to be a big battle that plays out in this area here, in this MAC trend support line, and in the midst of this trading range resistance, this big TR zone, again, that has never been tested. We could see it coming down here and forming another shoulder. We'll start to see some linear price action, consolidative price action. If the consolidation occurs beneath the ice, then I think we can maybe bank on that forming into a redistribution, with the last being like a UTAD, like you see this 2 here, trying to get back up into the MAC trend support, failing, coming back down through the ice, just a tip of it, coming back down, and then starting the bear market proper, which would make sense, especially since we've marked up almost 600% from the sign of weakness in B, the 16 Gs, and haven't had any kind of significant correction. It's been one gigantic macro Elliott wave up. Now, what about the ABCs now? At the end of every 5 wave, there's a macro ABC. At the end of a macro 5 wave, there's a macro ABC. There's always an ABC. So, in this case, here was the ABC for 2021, and this could be the ABC, and it would make sense for 2025. I don't know how low we could go. I don't think we'll go as low as 16,000, obviously, but anything that plays out underneath these 2 major junctions here can be counted as a macro retracement. And from there, we're just going to enter into this time of macro sell-offs, and I don't know how far we can go, but we're potentially looking at $40,000, $30,000 until we begin to find some accumulation. It just depends. Certainly the world economic climate, with all the fear and all the global trade wars and the recessions and all that, can kind of sets the stage for something like an ABC, doesn't it? I mean, if you go back to 2021, there was a lot of bad stuff happening here too. I believe this is with the decoupling of stablecoin and all the fear that just flooded into the crypto markets, FTX going belly up, and Celsius and all these other things. It just drove this narrative to propel this ABC, and the same thing now with unless something substantially happens, and all these tariffs just go away, and the trade war goes away, and we buddy up to China, and we have open trade again, and crypto gets the whole crypto market gets an infusion of hopium and such, then I don't really see this being averted, this ABC, this impending ABC, especially if it follows the algorithms, which it has been following, I might add. Again, it's followed it to a T in this last top that we had. And everyone's calling for 120,000, 150,000, 200,000 Bitcoin, and everyone's jumping in to this 5 wave, thinking it's going to keep going up, and it retraces. We already knew it was going to retrace. We've been calling all this since January. Those who followed this channel stayed safe. And certainly those in my group have stayed safe, not only safe, but prosperous. And because this affords tremendous shorting opportunities and such. So yeah, it's been following the algorithmic historicity of the price action. Every 4 years, it's a 4-year cycle. You know, the 4 years repeat themselves, just about. Not cookie cutter, but close enough, right? Close enough to discern the general trajectory and build accurate technical analysis off it, which I've been doing and which others have been doing. So, all right, well, that's all I have. Now, we just had a rally. It's in the news. I believe that's an effort to close out. That's a liquidity grab. Anything under, until we hit this ice, I think is just going to be a false rally. I think inevitably the trajectory is down, just like here. But then, as you see, there are liquidity grabs in the forms of upthrusts after distributions. And so we just had a CME gap, kind of almost reached it, up around 85, 86, 87,000. Up here, I put the chart in my Discord. I guess some members longed it and tried to hit this gap area. I don't know if their orders got filled or not, but it came pretty close, as you could see. It was down here when I drew this, and I drew this target. But there still could be some more pushing to go. We don't know yet. But anyway, that's kind of some of the fun stuff that we do in our group. So if you're interested in taking your trading up another level, learn how to read price action volume, or you're just looking for solid, safe, prosperous, reliable Bitcoin technical analysis and other alts. As soon as Bitcoin stabilizes, we'll be doing other alts. But I'm focusing primarily on Bitcoin because Bitcoin is this were Oz. This is the wizard, you know. He controls it all. You know, Bitcoin controls the land of Oz. And so we're going to focus on the wizard until the wizard goes to sleep. And so we're going to keep tracking this. If you're interested in learning perhaps a different way of technically analyzing charts, then check out our trading group. I go off of Wyckoff, Fibonacci, volume spread analysis and such. I keep it extremely affordable, and it's a very friendly, very approachable group, and you can learn tons in it at a very, very affordable rate, and absolute beginners are welcome. If not, certainly subscribe to this channel if you haven't subscribed already, and I'll continue to try to keep you safe with Bitcoin. And with that, I'm going to sign off now. I hope you got something out of this this video. May God bless you and keep you. Make his face shine upon you. And none of what I said is financial advice, but you already knew that, right? I hope you have a great rest of your week. Hopefully I'll see you in the Discord group. If not, I look forward also to hearing about you in the comments. Leave a comment if you like. We'll talk. All right, guys. God bless you. Talk again soon. Adios. Bye-bye.